It's the tools necessary to get their kids off to a great start academically.
And what you need to know about hiring someone to help you or your elderly parents without getting scammed. This is News Center Now.
New plans revealed today for the fate of a pier located at the center of a working waterfront debate. Good evening, everybody. I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Lindsay Mills. In Boothbay Harbor, the Sea Pier was acquired by a newly formed group that has the mission of preserving and protecting their maritime district. Today, we're learning Luke's Lobster will be operating a lobster buying station at the pier. It was once owned by a fisherman who wanted to ensure he sold it to someone who kept it as a commercial fishing wharf. This as discussions continue in Boothbay Harbor over whether to change zoning to allow more development. We have much more on that at our website and mobile app.
A little cold to be out there doing any fishing today, or really to be out there doing anything today, but Keith's here to tell us how it's going to be 70 and sunny at some point somewhere.
Yeah, June.
We're just going to have to wait a bit.
June, actually. Today was really windy. So I walked to get my hair cut. Thanks for mentioning it.
I noticed,
Wow,
actually. I
didn't
just didn't say
recognize you.
anything.
Yeah, didn't know that was.
I noticed when you get a haircut.
New
Lee.
number, who dat?
That's all I have to say. But anyways, I immediately regretted that decision because it was really cold and extremely windy. Look at Portland, still 52 miles an hour wind gusts, 45 miles an hour in Augusta. So this is several hours behind on finally slowing down these wind speeds. And we saw some wind speeds in the upper 50s earlier today, a remarkably low amount of power outages. That's the good news. But take a look at these current wind chills. Feels like 3 below in Wiscasset, 6 below in Rockland, 25 below in Greenville, and 10 below in Berlin. So it is brutally cold. It's somewhat ironic because we had a bunch of snow in the mountains, but between the wind holds and then the wind chills, haven't really been able to use it so far. Wind chill warning in effect until tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Wind chills will get down to minus 30 to minus 40 degrees by tomorrow morning. So it is going to be brutal. Overnight tonight, everybody drops down to the single digits, even the coastline. Below zero, about 10 below into the mountains. And again, that does not factor in any wind. Tomorrow we start with a lot of sunshine, but notice the clouds increase pretty quickly. Here comes a little light snow for Wednesday night and into early Thursday. It'll really only hit the southern fourth or so of the state, but there will be some accumulation. Guys, we'll talk amounts and then look ahead to a possible storm for the weekend in a few minutes.
To news now we go. The roller coaster of U.S.-North Korea relations revs up again this week. President Trump has arrived in Vietnam ahead of his second nuclear summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The two met last June in Singapore, but that summit failed to come up with any agreement forcing North Korea to give up its nuclear arsenal. The president is hoping for more progress this time around.
The president's former attorney, Michael Cohen, is getting a grilling on Capitol Hill. Cohen, the so-called fixer, faces 3 days of congressional hearings, including much anticipated public testimony before Congress tomorrow. Cohen is set to serve time in prison for lying to the House and Senate Intelligence Committees back in 2017.
A federal appeals court has cleared AT&T's takeover of Time Warner, rejecting a challenge from the Trump administration by saying it failed to prove that the $81 billion merger would harm consumers or competition in the pay TV market. The ruling by the U.S. Court of Appeals in Washington came today in the high-stakes competition case, approving one of the biggest media marriages ever. It was already completed last spring, soon after a federal trial judge approved it, as phone and pay TV giant AT&T absorbed Time Warner Cable. A person hired to help an elderly woman in Owl's Head now charged with that woman's murder. Police arrest 37-year-old Sarah Richards, who they say was hired to shovel snow from the 83-year-old's driveway.
So after the story came out, a lot of you at home asking, how can you make sure you're hiring somebody that you can trust? Chris Costa here with some of those answers, at least hopefully.
Yeah, so Lee and Lindsay, many of us obviously look to hire help, whether it's for ourselves or for our parents when we can't be there. It also requires a great deal of trust, and experts say a little research goes a long way. Barista Kevin Gaspardi remembers taking care of his parents when they got old.
So we had to hire overnight help, which is really expensive.
Sometimes he scrambled to look up a company to help. trusting a caregiver to stay in his parents' home 4 hours away in western Massachusetts, someone he may have never met.
And we found shoe boxes with money in it. And we go, you know, what if someone taking care of him had found the money?
Do you feel like you need to background check every single person you hire?
Given today, you almost need to.
Unfortunately, there are people out there that prey upon those kinds of vulnerable people, and we hear about this all the time.
Lawrence Gross is the executive director for the Southern Maine Agency on Aging. He recommends people use the U.S. government's Elder Care Locator to find trusted organizations that are required to check the backgrounds of the people they hire to help seniors, especially since half of older adults live alone.
When you're alone and you don't have a support surrounding you, you need things, you can be very vulnerable and sometimes desperate.
Leaving many people to turn to their neighbors, like Kevin, who helps his older friends and hopes that will come full circle.
Hopefully I have a network that can take care of me.
So the Southern Maine Agency on Aging has a number of suggested questions that you can ask any company or person you're about to hire, like how long has the company or person been in business and what kind of training is in place for the employees. And obviously, if you have any other questions, you can always ask for a background check from the state police. Lee and Lindsay.
All right, Chris Costa, thank you very much. Great information. Unfortunately, it's something you have to think about these days. You can't just trust that everybody's going to be exactly what they say they are. So thank you for that. So how polite do you think that Mainers who run small businesses are? Well, according to a report on freshbooks.com, Maine is not that polite compared to the rest of the nation.
However, these stats are a bit deceiving. The rankings are based off small business invoices and whether they use the words please and thank you. Their findings found that 8% of invoices in Maine have those phrases. Tennessee was the lowest at 4%. Alabama and Oklahoma were the states with the most polite small businesses. How about this? An Amtrak Coast Starlight train stranded 40 miles east of Eugene, Oregon since Sunday night finally started moving again today. This after being stuck in place for 37 hours. The train struck a tree on the track Sunday. Union Pacific crews worked overnight to clear the tracks, which allowed a Union Pacific locomotive to reach the train and start towing it today. None of the passengers on board or crew were hurt.
All right, coming up, we'll tell you about a trendy business that everybody is talking about. You know we love the trendy here on Now.
We sure do. Also, trucking through snow and paving the way for other women who hunt. One Mainer's story of finding her own network, 1,000 members and counting. What's up, everybody?
All right, what's going on, guys? Christian, you're in Texas? I want to go to Texas.
Becky says she loves picking on Keith. I think Lee would agree.
Becky, I cannot advocate for that.
Coco, Heidi is a fan of your story.
Oh, thank you. I'll be right there.
I think she's okay.
What's up, Sean? It's good to see you.
Sean says he misses Maine. Lobster doesn't seem the same in other places.
Right?
It's also more expensive in other places.
Also true.
Heidi says no Time Warner takeover, not good. Yeah, the wind was pretty brutal today too. We didn't blow away. Hey, Renee. All right. Yeah, I want to know what you guys think about this. In North Carolina, they're considering a new grading system. It sounds a little similar to that proficiency-based learning that we learned so much about the last couple of years here. But basically, it would slide the grade scale by 15 points. So an A would be 100 to 85, A B would be 84 to 70. A C would be 69 to 55. A D would be 54 to 40. F, anything below 40. So wouldn't a B be like 85? Now it would be an A,
No, that'd
according
be
to
an A.
this.
Yeah. No, I realize that my old man views aren't always welcomed in these parts. I miss 100 to 90, 90 to 80, 80 to 70, 70 to 60, and the A, B, C, D. Anything
Right.
under 60, you fail.
Right.
40 should not be a fail.
Right.
Just saying.
One state, North Carolina, is considering a bill that would change the grading scale that would be at public schools everywhere there. The idea is to have a 15-point grading scale, and legislation passed its first reading in the House this week. The proposed bill would mean higher grades for lower scores by changing this grading scale to be as follows. An A would be 100 to 85%, a B would be 84 to 70, C 69 to 55, D 54 to 40, and an F would be anything below 40%. The current scale is a 10-point scale. If passed, the new grading scale would take effect the next school year.
Nope.
He's all against
Well,
it.
I mean, what's the point? I mean, you
Right.
could just, if it's not a 10-question test, you could just give a grade that fits the,
I wonder
the
if you
number
could
that you're
pick
looking
a
for.
subject in which that applied.
But
like,
what's the point of that? To make everybody feel better because they got a 45 and passed? I mean, congratulations, you got a 45. Like, what's the value of an
I
A if
know.
everybody gets one?
Right.
Don't
Fair
give
point.
All right.
Join the conversation
It makes
on
you want
Facebook.
to punch a wall out of anger. It really doesn't.
Does it?
But have you ever wanted to? Well, if you have, you might be in luck because it kind of depends on where you live. There's a new business that opened up in Northeast Ohio. You can actually smash away your stress. Rage rooms have been popping up across the country. They let customers break everything in sight as a way to let off some steam. This doesn't seem very healthy. This one in Ohio lets you spend 5 minutes inside a room. You get a crowbar, a baseball bat. You can smash TVs, glasses, old electronics. It'll cost $15 to do it. If that doesn't help, you could pay $50 and you can get 20 minutes with bigger items to smash.
Gosh, got that on the first try. It's like demo day all
I
day.
just feel like you might need more help if that's what you're looking for. just saying.
You know, I think food cures a lot for me. I'll turn to the food instead of the rage.
Like a Sour Patch Kid?
Yes! He saw me sneaking those before the show. We see you guys on Snap Maps
Is that
sneaking
lettuce?
your snacks.
It's green.
I mean, good
That could
for
be
you.
cabbage, I guess.
I should be
Or
eating
lettuce.
like
It could be-
this.
It could be both.
I mean,
Yeah.
anyway.
Good if you're a rabbit.
Hey, yesterday was National
Chicken
Chowder
soup,
Day.
Chicken soup and oyster crackers. Can't
Yeah.
go wrong with that.
No, you can't.
Good
and
stuff. Well, ice cream, so.
oh, is that allowed in high school?
Ice cream just wins. Can you have ice cream in high school?
In the
In the
auditorium?
auditorium? Uh-oh. See, now you just got her in trouble.
Yeah, we're breaking the rules.
Just kidding. We didn't get you in trouble. Good job. That's photoshopped. It's not real.
It's not real.
The value of reading to children is not breaking news exactly, but one program wants to tell people why it's never too early to start that process.
And Keith has his latest forecast when we come back. Oh, you had a compliment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Heidi was a fan of your story today.
Oh,
Very
thanks, Heidi.
informative.
Appreciate it.
Great story about reliable elder care.
Thank you, Jimmy. I agree.
Courtney says 71 was considered failing in Fairfield when I was in school. I think this change would be for the better.
Yeah, I mean, but why? Well, 70 shouldn't be. 71 shouldn't be failing. I mean, that's not even a 10-point system. That's like a, if you're doing 4 grades, I mean, that's like a 7-point system. So I don't agree with that. That's a little strict. But it was 100 to 90, 89 to 80, 79 to 70, and then 69 to 60. So anything under that, you fail. So what's the point of having a 40 be passing? Why not just make everybody pass?
Right, it could be pass-fail in that case, you know?
It's there's not much left. There's no more room to go.
Yeah, what determines a fail after that?
Anything under 40.
Yeah.
Under 40?
Yeah.
They're giving you 60 points out of 100, where you at least pass if you get a 41 or 40.
On what, a test?
A
Anything.
4-letter grade system at 15 points per letter.
So you don't even
So you're
need
taking
to,
60 points off the top before you fail.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you can get 40. If you get 10 questions, you get 4 right, you've passed.
You don't even need
What?
to
How is that a D? Like,
Renee agrees with you. We're going
I don't
to.
get it. Like, you only have to learn
monitors.
4 of the 10 questions, and that way you
That's not really
pass.
studying.
No,
right?
it's awful. In
think about if you had to do
my
multiple
opinion,
choice.
just my opinion,
I
it's
don't
a
know.
bad idea. Everybody gets a trophy. I mean, how is it going to get you ready for the real world if you take a job, if a test
Right.
for a job and you bomb 4 out of the 10 questions? You go, wait a second, I got 4 right. How come I didn't get the job? Like,
Right.
Hello.
I know. I don't think that's going to pass. I don't think it would pass
I don't
here.
like it. Don't like it. Just saying.
Just saying.
Well, we didn't have electricity when I was in school.
And you walked uphill both ways in the snowstorm.
Twice. I think it was actually 70. I think a 69 was you failed. 70 was as low as it was a D- for me. So we had 4 grades based on a 30-point system. So like 100 to 93 was an A, and then like 93 to 86 would be like a B or whatever. Do the math. So I'm not doing the math.
Mm-mm. No. I mean, if that was the grading scale in math.
Trying to find a network of people who might share your unique interests. Pretty easy these days, thanks to social media.
And when you can't find that particular Facebook group, the power is yours to create your own. That was the case for one Mainer who's proving Hunter Orange is the new black. Christy Holmes practically lives outdoors.
I would probably never see the sunrise if I wasn't a hunter.
Not afraid to be out in the woods alone.
Here's my camera. This is a wireless game camera, so actually once a day sends photos to an app on my phone.
You'd think she's been hunting her whole life.
It's just cool to see them, you know?
But she only picked up the sport several years ago. The registered Maine guide knew she'd love it, but there's something she didn't see coming.
People don't always take you seriously. I've been shopping in stores and had guys make remarks, oh, are you buying that for your boyfriend? And, so you feel like you have something to prove to people, which can be frustrating.
Wanting to connect with other women who shared her passion, she created a Facebook group. A little more than a year later, Maine Women Hunters has more than 1,000 members. In recent years, there's been a steady increase in the number of women who have hunting or fishing licenses. According to the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, in 2010, there were just over 17,000 women who had hunting licenses. That number expanded to more than 21,000 by 2017. In that same time frame, the number of fishing licenses for women increased by roughly 10,000. As for Holmes, she's surprised at how quickly her group grew. A space to support others.
Learn from your mistakes and don't be scared.
So very cool getting out there to be with her today. It was cold, but we were dressed in lots of layers and we were just fine.
Just out of curiosity, is Bill Green mad at you? Because you went outdoors today. I just want to make sure that Bill Green gave you the blessing.
We went outdoors,
right.
I know. And we did track. We found some tracks for deer
awesome.
and coyotes. And I asked, I'm like, are you scared being out here by yourself? She said, nope.
Good story. Hey, check this out. The Aroostook County Sheriff's Office warned drivers stay off the roads today. Awful whiteout conditions affecting travel all across the county. This is footage from the Crown of Maine Facebook page. Several major roads were closed today, and then this bus in Fort Kent is buried because of snow drifts. It was really bad. So we've talked a lot and had some fun with kind of all the snow that they've been getting in the county, but obviously today, super dangerous, and the wind, not a helpful factor for all that snow.
Not letting up.
No, there was some interesting tweets out of Boston of planes about to land and doing some crazy.
Oh, your favorite.
So crosswind. Yeah, a couple of them I think they had to circle back around. And I mean, it's not my favorite when I'm on the plane.
Right.
From
but
the
you
ground,
love those
though,
videos.
it's fun to watch.
Yeah. No, thanks.
Nobody was hurt in the making of those videos.
That's good.
Lee, as far as I know.
Yeah, except for the barf bags.
Yeah, they may not get on a plane again, but nobody was hurt. All right, Portland today, 58 miles an hour. Look at these wind gusts. Winter Harbor, 60 miles an hour. It's really interesting. We knew today would be windy, but in some places it has exceeded the highest wind gusts from yesterday, and there's no real synoptic reason I can find for this. And they're starting to settle down a bit now, but still 50 to 60 miles an hour. Wind gusts 52 in Portland. What's really interesting, too, is that a lot of these locations are reporting relatively weak sustained winds. say 20 miles an hour, and then they peak up to 50 miles an hour. And so because they're not sustained, that's part of the reason we haven't seen that much damage or that many power outages. Take a look at the hour-by-hour wind chill. You're not going to like it. Overnight tonight and through early tomorrow morning, minus 30 to 40 degrees in the mountains. Meanwhile, it'll feel like 10 to 15 below, even along the coastline. And then through the day tomorrow, it starts to moderate, but it still feels like the single digits. So wind chill warnings here, wind chill advisories here. This is the under 10 minutes your skin will freeze type situation. So, you know how that goes. You want to stay away from that, obviously. Cover up wherever you can. Hour-by-hour forecast showing you those cold temperatures. Tomorrow starts with a lot of sunshine. We increase clouds, though, pretty quickly from southwest to northeast in the afternoon. Here comes that little storm that's just going to clip southern Maine with some snow. And so the northernmost part of the accumulating snow probably will be, as I mentioned yesterday, around Brunswick. And then to the south of that will be the best chance for 1 to 3 inches. To the north of Wiscasset, pretty much nothing, just some clouds and maybe a flurry. Then we quiet down for Thursday afternoon and into Friday. So it's a pretty lame snowfall map, but I guess it was worth making still. Under an inch in the shaded area. Now, we put Portland on the line for a reason, because we think the most likely amount of snow in Portland is 1 inch. So it didn't quite fit in either category. Sanford down into York, Kennebunk will be at 1 to 3 inches of accumulation. Pick a storm, any storm, because this weekend we got something cooking. One storm on Sunday looks to just miss us, but then the Euro tries to drop one right behind it. There's no way we're going to get 2 storms in under 24 hours. So they have to resolve, the models do, which storm they're going to develop. It's a weird signal, guys. Sometimes these models do this and it's saying they don't know how to resolve the pattern. It certainly is not saying we're going to get 2 storms in 24 hours. Fun fact, the background in that 7 days me skiing. Look, it is. This is real life. Oh, I want to show it again.
Yeah, I want to see
Let's
it.
see
There we go.
Okay. And then the next one is not me. So yeah, we'll watch the weekend overall. I thought that
How'd you get that cool action shot? Do you have to like
I have
ask
a friend
somebody?
who's a photographer.
Oh,
Photoshop. That's your moment to say.
There it is. It was actually me skiing. No, wait, it was Lindsay skiing. No, wait, it was Jess. Jess was,
Jess, yeah, she's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
Sweet.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Okay, bye.
So how soon should you start reading to your children, singing to them, talking to them? Is there even a too soon when it comes to that topic?
The answer for most educators is it's never too early to get started, and there's now some evidence that proves they are right.
She put him in the bathtub to see if he could swim.
The value of reading to children isn't a new concept, but one program is highlighting just how important it can be. Talking is Teaching is a campaign that reminds families and caregivers the tangible benefits of opening up the communication channels as early as possible.
Designs ways to prompt talking with your child often, reading with your child, singing with your child throughout the day. So when the child enters school, they enter in more prepared.
I think sometimes there's a misconception that they're babies, and so they don't understand what we're saying and that there's not much point in all that conversation or all that language, but they are.
Starting Strong, a branch of the city-run Portland Connect Ed, helps pay for and distribute 500 bags which contain easy ways for parents and caregivers to work conversation and song into each interaction they have with their children. It not only strengthens the bond between them, but with their children's teachers as well.
The nice byproduct of this whole program has been an even deeper connection with parents, because the way that it's structured is that the trusted messenger is supposed to sit down and spend that time with the parent, and then they should be following up with the parent as well. So they not just hand the bag and have fun, but actually following up and say, so what did you think about those materials? Did you find some of them helpful? It's kind of deepened that connection between the teacher and parents as well.
First of all, those kids were adorable today. I had a blast with them. It was like being home. But they were super responsive. Every time a teacher would talk to them, they would talk right back. And even if it didn't make sense, it was communication. So it was pretty cool. Pretty cool to see.
A little love and attention goes a long way.
Absolutely.
A lot more coming up on News Center Maine at 5:30. Let's check in with Pat Callahan for a preview. Hi, Pat.
Hi, Lindsay and Lee. People in Saco are grieving the death of a popular middle school teacher who suffered what police say was a medical event while driving home from school. News Center's Shannon Moss will fill us in on what happened. In Bar Harbor, about 50 residents and some 60 employees are going to have to find a new place to live and work, and soon. Jackie Mundry will fill us in on Maine's latest nursing home closure. And are the airlines spying on passengers via their in-flight entertainment systems? We'll look into claims that are buzzing around on social media. It's all coming up in just a couple minutes on News Center at 5:30.
Very interesting. Stick with us. Braindrops when we come back.
Somebody's always watching.
Somebody's watching me. Jennifer says reading out loud to others is great at all ages.
Okay.
Should we do about the North Carolina grading system?
Hey Heidi, thank you. I'm glad that you are enjoying the interactivity.
David has a question for
we
Keith.
Like it as well.
David wants to know, did winds reach above 150 miles per hour at Sugarloaf?
It's hard to say. We're about to do a segment on that. So.
Hard to say. We're about to do a segment on that.
We're doing it on the bent tower.
Oh yeah, that was an amazing picture.
I was telling Liam that it got so shared out of my page that people are coming in and they're like, what state is this in? Where was it? And you're like, okay, reset.
Yeah.
It's in Maine.
Leo wants to know how high the wind got to be able to blow that tower over. And we're going to talk about that.
Tess, talking about my reading story, said that she actually read to her children while she was pregnant with them, and they were all a year ahead in school when it came to reading.
Interesting.
Lee, did I tell you about that book, Freakonomics? You would hate it.
Hold on, Keith. When do you want us to do the Facebook comments? Before Grandma or after? Okay. Okay. I'll do that.
Okay.
And then I don't know if you heard, but there's some sound at the beginning of.
So is it
Rockin' Grandma? Sorry, what did you say?
This book, Freakonomics, was a big hit in like the mid-2000s. It's all these statistical.
I think I've read this.
Yeah, things. And one of the arguments he tries to make is that reading to your kids statistically wasn't as important as having books in the house. That was the biggest predictor of kids' intelligence. And they theorized it was because if their parents were, learned enough, if you will, to have books and to read, then they would pursue education for the kids, and that's why they would do better. It's really like he makes all these crazy arguments. I'll tell you about a couple others off camera, but
yeah, I mean, I get the theory. You can't read to your kids unless you actually have books in place. But if you have the books but don't read, what's the point?
Right.
I mean, you need to actually read
what
to
you
your
read
kids.
doesn't matter. That's also important.
Yeah. Well, and that was kind of the point of the story.
Yeah.
I just want to follow up with some Facebook conversation we're having with you guys about some of the stories that we've had so far today. One was just about the reading and singing and talking to your children at the earliest of ages. And Tess weighed in and said that she read to her children when she was pregnant with them, and they all ended up to be a year ahead once they got to school when it came to reading. So, and it's really not important. We were talking just a little bit off camera. What exactly you read to your children at the earliest of ages when they, can't speak English really, as long as you're constantly communicating and talking, they get so much more word recognition that way that once they're able to understand it, they've got lots more words.
And Where the Wild Things Are, always a good choice.
That is a great book. Yes.
All right, check this out. Video of a 79-year-old woman jamming her guitar is getting a lot of attention. Beverly Guitar Watkins played her electric guitar at an Atlanta girls rock camp. It turns out the hometown talent knows what she's doing. It definitely shows in this video clip posted on social media. She's worked with some big-time stars as well, James Brown, B.B. King, and Ray Charles.
Not too shabby. That is good stuff right there.
I know.
Rockin' Grandma.
She could teach me a thing or two.
All right, so this picture really went pretty wild yesterday from the top of Sugarloaf Mountain. This is a communications tower. Actually not owned by them, by Sugarloaf. It's leased out. So it got bent in the winds. This is what it normally looks like.
Looks like a tornado blew through.
Yeah, so we were trying to figure out what wind speed would be necessary to do this and what wind speeds likely were. Problem is they have an anemometer, wind measuring device on top of the mountain, but it broke. when it started to get too windy. That happens. It's a cup, and sometimes it breaks. But what we can deduce is that Mount Mansfield, same elevation as Sugarloaf, got up to 130 miles an hour. Mount Washington got up to 171 miles an hour. So it's safe to say it was in excess of 100, probably around 125 miles an hour that caused this damage. Also because Sugarloaf does sometimes get to 80, 90 miles an hour at the top, and this hasn't happened yet. The other thing is that, see all this ice on the tower here? That has a big factor too, because it's called rime ice, and it accretes to the tower. It gives it extra weight, and so when it starts being pushed by the wind, it can be a problem. By the way, let's get the photo credit. I tried for 5 hours to figure out who took this picture, and everybody said, oh, somebody else sent it. He's a winch cat operator at Sugarloaf. You guys know what a winch cat is? Or
is that the groomer?
It's a groomer when it gets too steep, when the stroke is, they have to basically winch it into something so it doesn't roll down the mountain. But just crazy. No one was hurt, of course, and they're going to go look at it tomorrow.
All right, in other news, we're going to develop an anemometer that doesn't break when it gets too windy.
I know, it's kind of ironic, isn't it?
That's going to be our new thing. It's going to be our big fortune. All right, News Center Maine at 5:30 starts right now.
I was thinking the same thing.
All right, Facebook.
Bye, guys. Thanks for the convo. Yeah.